Rocket stars. How to make. 12. By following a few simple directions for the manufacturing of these, you will be able to vary almost to any extent the heads of your rockets, and to produce combinations according to your taste and fancy. The stars that are used as decorations to the different species of fireworks are of various kinds, sizes, and shapes, according to the purpose for which they are intended. First, the ordinary rocket stars, which are called brilliant or bright, are made in small cubes. Their composition is moistened with gum water, and while moist, flattened to the thickness required. It is then scored or cut across with a knife and allowed to dry. When dry, it can be easily broken up into cubes at the places where it was divided by the knife. Tailed stars are also made in the same way and of the same size. Second, Roman candle stars are small cylinders of composition, made of a size proportioned to that of the case out of which they are to be thrown. Third, colored rocket stars are made by driving the colored composition, slightly moistened, into small cases, which go under the name of pillbox cases. If the star is to consist of one color only, these pillboxes are open at both ends, and a piece of quick match is placed between the composition and the inside of the pillbox, and allowed to project about half an inch beyond each end of it. When fired, these stars burn at both ends at the same time, and so produce a great amount of fire in proportion to their size. If it is required to make stars consisting of more than one color, in which case they are called changeable stars, the pillboxes are left open at one end only. The composition is thereby prevented from burning at more than one of its surfaces at a time. These stars generally contain two colors. The pillboxes are half filled with one colored composition, and the remaining space filled with another. These changeable stars burn much longer than the others, and therefore produce a more beautiful effect. But being larger, they require to be used in larger rockets, the half-pound size being the smallest that is adapted for this purpose. Golden Rain. 13. There is another and exceedingly beautiful decoration for rocket heads which is called Golden Rain. This is by no means a difficult thing to make. Some small paper cases are made, about 2 inches long and of the size of goose quills. These are filled with a sparkling composition and primed with wetted gunpowder. They are placed, mouth downwards, in the head of the rocket, and arranged in such a manner that they may all be ignited. At the bursting of the rocket, they will describe a series of beautiful ringlets of sparkling fire. I have now enumerated as many different kinds of stars, etc., as will provide you with the means of producing any amount of variety. I now come to the details of the manufacture of these decorations. We will begin with the ordinary brilliant stars. 14. Brilliant stars. 14. First, let me impress upon you the necessity of seeing that all ingredients used in star compositions are in as fine a powder as possible. You cannot have them too fine or too well incorporated and mixed. The following is the formula which I employ for the common brilliant stars. Nitre 16 parts, sulfur 8 parts, sulphuret of antimony 4 parts, meal powder 3 parts. Let all these ingredients be in fine powder, and having carefully weighed out the quantities, mix them thoroughly. Next, take some gum water of the strength previously mentioned. That is, 2 ounces of gum arabic dissolved in a pint of warm water. Spread your star composition upon a piece of zinc plate or slate, and add to it a little of the gum water at a time, taking care to stir the composition about well till all the moisture is equally diffused through the whole. It is not necessary that this composition should be made wet, but only something like brown sugar in moistness, so that it will bind well when pressed together. When you think this is sufficiently done, roll or press the composition into a flat shape like a thick pancake, and make it as square, or at all events as rectangular, as possible. Its thickness should be about 1/4 of an inch. You will find a large spatula a very convenient tool in this operation, both for flattening the cake of composition and for getting it into a convenient shape. Now take your spatula, and with it score the composition across both ways, so that you have it divided into a number of little cubes. Figure 30. It may then be set aside to dry in a warm place. It will be 48 hours before it is fit for use in summer, and about a week in winter. When dry, you will have no trouble in separating the cubes at the marks left by the spatula. I may as well, however, introduce you to a simple piece of apparatus which will enable you to perform this operation much more comfortably and cleanly. I have a small wooden tray made of mahogany, 6 inches square and 3/4 of an inch deep, inside measurements. Into this I place a flat piece of wood which fits very easily into the tray and is 1/2 an inch thick. This acts as a movable false bottom. It will be readily seen that when this false bottom is in the tray, placed upon the other bottom, the tray will be filled up so as to leave a depth of 1/4 of an inch only unoccupied. This space I fill with the moistened star composition, having first rubbed the surface of the false bottom with soap to prevent any adhesion taking place between the composition and the wood. Having now pressed into the tray as much composition as will fill it to the height of its sides, I score it with the spatula as directed above. A large hole is made in the natural bottom of the tray, so that I can, by putting my fingers through it, raise the false bottom covered with stars out of the tray. I then place a piece of cardboard or zinc on the top of the stars and turn the false bottom upside down. The stars will be found to separate from the wood very easily, and may be left to dry on the zinc. The tray is then ready for another batch of stars. The advantages of this plan are that there is no trouble in getting the composition into a uniform, convenient shape and thickness, that the composition requires much less gum water, and that, consequently, the process is a quicker and a cleaner one. Tailed stars. 15. The same plan may be adopted also for the making of tailed stars, with a slight variation which I now proceed to describe. These stars are not moistened with plain gum water, but with a mixture of gum water and linseed oil. The gum water should be of the strength given above, and should be made quite hot by placing the bottle which contains it in a jug of boiling water. When it is sufficiently hot, to every 8 ounces of gum water, add 1 ounce of linseed oil. Shake the bottle till these are thoroughly mixed, and no oil can be seen. Use the moistening fluid while hot, in the same manner as directed above for brilliant stars. The following is the composition for tailed stars. Nitre 16 parts, meal powder 12 parts, antimony sulphuret 8 parts, fine charcoal 4½ parts, sulphur 4 parts. If the above directions are carefully followed out, you will have some stars which are exceedingly beautiful in their effect, and by no means difficult to make. At its first appearance, the star has nothing remarkable in it but the rapidity of its combustion. When this, however, is over, a kind of boiling lava is formed which remains red-hot for a long time, and which, in its descent to the earth, takes the appearance of a glowing drop of golden fire, followed by a tail of sparks, remaining visible till it reaches the ground. I think the proportion of linseed oil given above will not bear being altered without detriment to the performance of the stars. If less oil is used, the stars assume their tailed form sooner and disappear sooner. If more, they will reach the earth before their principal and characteristic beauty is seen. Both brilliant and tailed stars may be made in cubes, whose sides are about 1/4 of an inch. On account of the presence of the oil, tailed stars take a longer time to dry than brilliant. An advantage which they possess, besides that of superior beauty, is that they are much more sure of ignition than brilliant stars. I may as well mention here that a tray for forming the stars, such as I have described above, and of the size given above, will contain about 8 or 9 ounces of composition at a time.